All right, let's jump right in. The silver market just did something that has a lot of people scratching their heads, and it begs the question, the big one. Is silver getting ready to absolutely explode? We're going to break it all down.
You know, this quote right here just perfectly captures the feeling in the air. This is not some slow, steady market. We're talking about a situation where if you so much as blink, you don't just miss a small price change, you miss the entire move. Corrections that used to take months are now over in a couple of days. The speed is just wow.
So, what in the world does this whiplash action actually mean? I mean, how does a market get hammered down like that only to come roaring right back with such incredible force? It looks like chaos, right? But it's not. It's not random noise, it's a signal. And we are about to decode exactly what that signal is telling us. Okay, first things first, we've got to look at the event that really started this whole conversation. A really puzzling price shock. A violent move that honestly left a lot of traders just standing on the sidelines, completely confused. So just picture this. You're watching the market, and the price just nosedives. It plunges by double digits, shaking out anyone and everyone who had weak hands. And the story, of course, is, well, that's it. The rally's over. But then, poof, in a matter of days, it snaps right back. Anybody who was waiting for that nice, calm, comfortable dip to buy in, they got left in the dust, completely.
But here's the thing. This wasn't just a fluke. It wasn't some random bounce. There was a powerful, powerful message in this kind of price action. It's basically the market shouting at the top of its lungs that the underlying buyers, that deep, determined demand, is way, way stronger than any of the panic sellers. It's showing us there's some serious strength hiding just under the surface. And to really understand that strength, you have to know what's actually powering it. See, silver isn't just driven by one thing. It's unique. It has two completely separate engines that can work together to send its price into the stratosphere.
So on one hand, you have the monetary engine. This thing fires up when people start losing faith in regular currencies, in paper promises, and they look to silver as real, hard money. It's a flight to safety. But then you've got the industrial engine. Silver is absolutely essential for things like solar panels, 5G, the whole electrification trend. And that demand, it doesn't care about the price. It's driven by strict production deadlines. They have to have it, period.
Now, most of the time, one of these engines is kind of doing the heavy lifting while the other one is cruising. But what do you think happens when they both rev up, when these two massive waves synchronize and hit the market at the exact same time? Well, you don't just get a normal rally. It's not a polite climb. You get a scramble, a squeeze. You get a full-on stampede. This combination, this cocktail of monetary fear meeting price and sensitive industrial demand, it is truly explosive. Okay, so if this incredible setup is really in play, there's gotta be a way to tell, right? There has to be some kind of trigger, one clear signal that tells us, yep, the game has changed. And it turns out there is. I mean, how can we possibly cut through all the chatter and all the noise to know if we're just in another rally or if this is the start of something much, much bigger? Well, the answer, funny enough, lies in silver's relationship with its big brother, gold. I absolutely love this analogy from the source material. Just think of it this way. Gold is the heavyweight champion. It's the big, conservative, institutional player. It's for protecting wealth. Silver, on the other hand, silver is the lightweight with a knife. It's smaller, it's faster, it's way more volatile, and it represents a much more aggressive, speculative bet. And that, right there, is the ultimate trigger. The one signal that tells you the game is on is when silver, our scrappy lightweight with a knife, starts to decisively outperform gold. That's the tell. It signals a huge shift in market psychology, from playing defense to going on offense. And that is when things can get absolutely wild and fast. So what happens when that trigger gets pulled? Well, it often means all the old playbooks, all the old rules and patterns, you can pretty much just toss them out the window. The market enters a whole new paradigm, and trying to use old maps is just going to get you lost. This quote just nails it. When a market finally breaks free after being trapped in a cage for years and years, it doesn't just quietly walk into a new price range. It explodes out of it. And when that happens, normal just stops mattering. So here's how it plays out technically.
For years, there's a price that acts like a solid brick ceiling. The market hits it and falls back down, over and over. Then, something changes. A powerful breakout happens and the price smashes right through that ceiling. But here's the magic part. That old ceiling, that old resistance, it transforms. It becomes the new solid floor of support.
And what that's telling us is really profound. It means the market is fundamentally rejecting the old, lower prices. It's establishing a whole new reality, a new psychological baseline. And if you try to apply the old rules in this new territory, you're just going to get steamrolled. And all of this leads to what the source calls the final phase. This is where the cold, hard mechanics of supply and demand crash into raw, messy human psychology. And believe me, this is where the real fireworks happen.
The source actually lays out the 4 key ingredients for this kind of price explosion. First, you have years of quiet, compressed volatility that suddenly expands violently. Second, you have an incredibly tight supply that collides head-on with large, determined buyers. Third, the old narrative that silver is money comes roaring back and suddenly sellers just vanish. And finally, that emotional rocket fuel, regret and FOMO, ignites the final vertical stage of the move.
And the result is fascinating to watch. The whole conversation moves out of these niche financial circles and goes mainstream. It's on the news. The price is moving so fast, people are just taking screenshots of it on their phones to show their friends. Silver stops being a chart and starts being a headline generator.
Which brings us to a really personal question, and it's one that's worth thinking about now, not when things are going crazy. If a move like this really does happen, what will you do? How will you react? Are you going to be ready with a plan, or are you going to let the emotional chaos of the market take over?
And that really brings us full circle. The entire debate around silver seems to have fundamentally shifted. The question isn't really if silver will finally break out anymore. The real question on everyone's mind now is, once it's out of that cage, just how far can it possibly run?